Every empire collapses the same way. It just looks different each time. Rome thought its walls would last forever. Britain believed the sun would never set. America believes it is too advanced to fall. But history doesn't care about pride, it only cares about patterns. There are 7 stages every great power goes through: the rise, the glory, the rot, and the fall. And if you know where to look, the United States is standing on the edge of stage 6. You can feel it in the markets, in the politics, in the silence that follows every lie on television. The warning signs are all around us. This is not just about one country, it is about what happens when comfort replaces purpose. Because that is where collapse begins. Every empire starts as an idea, not greed, not conquest, a vision. Rome rose because it wanted order in a world of chaos. Britain rose because it believed trade could conquer distance. America rose because freedom was worth dying for. In the beginning, there is hunger. Citizens work harder. Leaders serve a purpose larger than themselves. Discipline is celebrated. Sacrifice is respected. The people believe in the same story. That belief builds roads, fleets, and cities. It turns deserts into kingdoms and colonies into nations. It gives the empire its heartbeat. When Rome built its first roads, it was not thinking about wealth, it was thinking about connection. When the United States wrote its Constitution, it was not thinking about profit. It was thinking about liberty, and that's how every empire rises, by serving something bigger than gold. But the moment vision turns into wealth, the countdown begins. Once an empire finds success, it begins to believe it can't fail. Trade expands, technology explodes, the treasury overflows, Rome built marble cities, Britain covered the seas with its flag, America built corporations so powerful they rival nations. The golden age feels unstoppable. People call it destiny. They think expansion will never end, but prosperity is a liar. It makes people forget what built it. It replaces hunger with pride and simplicity with complexity. The empire begins to chase luxury instead of progress. In ancient Rome, senators debated fashion more than law. In Victorian London, fortunes were made from colonies no one could even find on a map. And today, America spends billions chasing distractions instead of solutions. The citizens get comfortable. They stop asking hard questions. They believe success is automatic, but history is patient. It waits for the moment when vigilance turns to vanity, and that's when the first cracks begin to form. At the top of its power, an empire doesn't know it has peaked. It celebrates itself louder than ever. The people are rich, comfortable, proud, and distracted. The soldiers who once built the empire become spectators. The workers become consumers. The citizens become audiences. Art replaces achievement. Entertainment becomes identity. The empire trades meaning for amusement. Rome threw bread and games into its colosseums to keep people happy. Britain hosted lavish banquets while its colonies starved. And America streams 1,000 distractions every second, so no one notices the silence of decay. The culture that once built monuments now builds brands. The heroes are not inventors or explorers, they are influencers, investors, and celebrities selling the illusion of success. Values fade into aesthetics. Character becomes marketing, and morality becomes a matter of taste. No one calls it decline, they call it progress. But every empire that starts worshipping its own reflection is already falling. Because when purpose dies, identity fractures. And when identity fractures, the people turn on each other. That is how the cultural peak ends, not with an explosion, but with applause. When unity breaks, corruption rushes in to fill the space. The same ambition that once built the empire begins eating it from within. Power stops serving people, it starts serving itself. The politicians learn to speak in circles. The rich build walls of influence higher than the walls that defend the empire. And the poor learn to survive by blaming each other. Rome was ruled by senators who sold loyalty to the highest bidder. Britain's elite turned empire into a business deal. And in America, money now decides who gets heard, who gets help, and who gets crushed. The economy still grows, but the growth is hollow. It only feeds those already full. The middle class begins to vanish, replaced by 2 nations sharing the same flag. The media turns into theater. The truth becomes optional. Scandals replace solutions. Each side swears it's saving the empire, but both are pulling it apart. Meanwhile, the world outside grows stronger, watching, waiting, because collapse never starts from outside. It starts from within. Corruption is not just crime, it is the decay of trust. And once trust is gone, no amount of wealth can buy it back. Every empire reaches this moment when power becomes performance and freedom becomes a slogan. That's when decline turns into destiny. Every empire learns the same secret. You can borrow time, but not forever. Debt begins as fuel. Cheap, convenient, invisible, it powers armies, bridges, cities, and dreams. Until one day, it owns everything it built. Rome discovered this when its silver coins lost their shine. Britain discovered it when the pound slipped from gold. And America discovered it when money became numbers instead of value. The printing press replaced productivity. The illusion replaced the effort. And the economy turned from creation to consumption. At first, it feels good. The markets rise, the government spends, the citizens celebrate. But underneath, something breaks. The value of work weakens, savings vanish quietly, and inflation begins to eat the future one meal at a time. The empire starts selling the past to pay for the present. It calls it growth, but it is decay dressed as progress. When Rome faced shortages, it melted its own statues. When Britain ran out of gold, it sold its colonies. And when America runs out of trust, it will sell its currency, the very foundation of its power. Debt is not just money owed, it is time stolen. And time, once spent, never returns. This is how prosperity becomes poison. By the time the empire realizes it, the spiral has already begun. Every empire reaches the moment when the truth becomes unbearable, and instead of facing it, they look away. Leaders promise recovery, experts insist everything is fine, citizens argue over whose fault it is while the walls quietly shift beneath them. Rome blamed the barbarians, Britain blamed the wars, America blames each other. The signs are everywhere: soaring debt, political paralysis, shrinking trust, endless distraction. The empire is still rich, still armed, still proud, but inside, it is hollow. The infrastructure cracks while social media glows. The military expands while the purpose shrinks. The people shout about freedom while drowning in rules they no longer understand. And still, the narrative continues. We are too advanced to collapse. That sentence has been spoken in every language of every fallen power in history. It is always the last line before silence. In this stage, the empire fights reality itself. It spends more to hide decline, prints more to fake growth, and blames more to avoid change. Foreign rivals no longer fear it, they study it. They know empires die not from invasion, but from exhaustion. This is where America stands today. Stage 6, the stage of denial, the moment just before the fall. It is not the end yet, but it is close enough to feel it, because no empire thinks it will be the last one. Until it is. Collapse never looks like collapse at first. It looks like change. One day the markets open lower than expected, then a foreign alliance forms quietly, then a few factories close that never reopen. And slowly, the empire wakes up to a new world that no longer needs it. Rome's marble cracked long before its armies fell. Britain's flag came down slowly, one colony at a time. And America's decline will arrive not with war, but with replacement. New powers rise without asking permission. Their currencies grow stronger, their technologies outpace the old. Their confidence becomes contagious. Meanwhile, the fallen empire still believes it is leading. It keeps talking about the past, replaying old victories like a movie stuck on pause. But power never waits for nostalgia. It moves to whoever is still hungry enough to build. That is how every empire ends. Not destroyed, but forgotten. Its monuments fade into museums. Its money turns into memory. Its citizens live inside a story they no longer recognize. The fall is never loud. It is quiet. And it always feels normal until it is over. Empires do not fall because of enemies. They fall because they forget why they rose. The pattern has never changed, only the names. Rome, Britain, America, all brilliant, all temporary. History does not repeat. It warns, and the warning is clear. The next empire is already being built.